Oh, I should do good morning, Vietnam. Bring some 80s back. Jared, thank you, sir, for joining. Maverick, John, Mr. Sanson, thank you for joining me in this festivities. So this is going to be the last stream I do on this dropship. So as you can see, I got more details done. It's not done. So hopefully we'll see. I want to do the back part here with you guys, show you kind of the techniques I did to do all these scribe lines, how I did all this coloring kind of elements as well. And then we'll pop into the front. I got to add the last elements here for the front. And there's still more to do. I need to make adjustments here in the middle section. But we will definitely go through some of the techniques. And there's some good stuff here that I think also some features that I use to do some of this that are kind of some hidden features that I think can be very valuable to you all. So I definitely going to be going into some spots maybe that you're not used to maybe, or some extra little elements. So we're going to continue the process here though. Thank you, Derek. Let's see what it looks like with perspective on while we're waiting. Yes. Who doesn't like aliens? Come on. I definitely got to do some more here though, but it's been fun to do this for sure. Stefano, Elvis, hello, how are you? So we're going to get into looking at cleaning, doing the more cleanup, and then doing some more of the details. Top 5. So John, you're saying top 5 movie of all time for you, or top 5 sci-fi? Ooh, let's open coffee talk. What is some of your top 5 movies? Okay, we can even we can just say top 5 sci-fi if you want to. Okay, why not? All right, so it looks like the stream we're good. I've got the green. My volume is pumping. I can see that. I can see on my other computer that we've got a good stream going. Okay. Might work in space, but not Earth. Thanks, Mr. Sanson. The original, so you're saying you're going Lord of the Rings, okay. Star Wars, Indie, Terminator. Okay, yeah, you're good. You're going in good spots there for sure. You know, you can't miss the little Blade Runner, right? Okay. So let's get into this. You know, let's just start like a little bit simple with the idea and the concept here of there are 2 ways I actually put all these scribe lining all over the place for this ship, and I want to show these 2 main ones and show you kind of, and also what I did, because if you guys remember, my goal was probably at the end of this to possibly 3D print this. So I am going to, you know, some of this I did on purpose. So like all the color stuff is actually reliefed, right? So that way it'll actually print out with those in the printout as well. So I did that on purpose. And then it gave me the ability to do coloring. So I'll show you some ways that I did this. And I think especially one of them, especially I'm going to redo part of this wing too in here just to show you this, because there's a feature I use that was very valuable for when I did this portion right here. Okay. But let's start with this back tail. I want to put some scribe lining through here for sure. Okay, so you can see that it's just low polygon. It's nothing spectacular. Okay, and right now you can see, even though this looks a little bit blended right through here, they're 2 separate pieces. And I'm eventually gonna combine these 2 pieces anyways. And the little part that I have right here, I'm gonna blend out. So that'll be an actually easy fix for me. But I find this again useful making these in pieces so that this middle part can have its own topology and this can have its own topology, and I can mess around with that. Okay. Ooh, Fight Club, Blade Runner, The Thing. Okay, what The Thing though, Derek? There are several of them. Are you talking about the one from the 50s? Are you talking the one that was remade in the 80s? Or are you talking about the most recent remake? It's always a good question. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this tail. So I'm just going to duplicate this. All right. And then I'm going to now apply. I've got dynamic subdivs on this guy. So I'm going to apply them. So this is 76,000 polygons. So let me just solo this out and we can take a look at this. I'm going to repolygroup the whole thing and delete the lower. That's probably enough. I'll go up one more, I guess. One more subdivision level. Give me a little bit more density. Okay, in this case, it's 304,000 polygons. Now I'm going to make sure I don't have anything on in here. Okay, which I actually will use this B radius a lot. And then I'm going to use my handy dandy slice curve. And I'm just going to say I want a scribe line right about there, right, going through that. Then I want one going all the way down. Now, I don't know where this is living compared to everything else, so I'm going to turn solo mode off, keep my polyframe mode on. And by the way, what might be nice when you guys are going to do this technique, what could be good, is turn off the word line here. So then you're not looking at the polygon anymore. I don't care about the polygons, in all honesty. I just care about the polygrouping that I'm making, right? So now I'm looking at something like this, okay? And so this is what I want to look at, is this, right? So I've turned off, again, that line. There's a word line right here in your polyframe. I'm going to turn that off. And now I definitely want to put right here, I want to put a scribe line there, okay? So that now gives me that ability. Now I'm going to look from the side. And I want another one right here. But I only want it to go through a certain point. So what I mean by that, you see how this polygroup didn't change? And then now I made a new polygroup. So let me undo this. Okay. And this is important to understand with the slicing. I'm not going to go all the way through like this. I'm going to stop inside of this purplish blue or velvet blue, right? Right here. And then so you can see only these polygroups change now. And then this doesn't. This is important because now I want scribe lining to go through a certain direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab Extrude Profile 2. When we made this brush, we made it, and I did a lot of these pieces for this brush with this exact workflow in mind. It was made, this brush is made on purpose this way. This is one of my new favorite brushes for hard surface. Like, I use this brush an awful lot now. Okay, and I like Scribe 09 is the one I'm going to work with. Okay, and I'm going to go with a draw size of 4. So I'm just going to go smaller. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, give me this polygroup, and this polygroup. Okay, and then I'm going to inverse it. Okay, and now I have this. So now we're just going to go to stroke, but instead of all the options in the curve functions, I'm only going to turn on border and nothing else. Okay, and then when I click the frame mesh, right, I get a curve going around the whole border. Right, and then so now of course when I tap, I'm going to turn symmetry off. I don't need symmetry on. Okay, so when I tap, you get that going around the entire mesh. Something like that, right? Okay, and then I can tap on the surface and now that one's done. Then I'm going to say, okay, the next scribe line, I want this polygroup, this polygroup, this polygroup, okay, to be hidden. It doesn't matter. And now I can say stroke, frame mesh, right? Then I tap, okay, and then now I want, the next one I want this polygroup, and then inverse that. And now, this is where now I want to change the option in here. I don't want to use border, now I want to use polygrouping. Because the only spot I want to be framed is where these two polygroups are meeting, and then frame mesh, right? And then now I have this, okay, going on, and then now I'm going to say show this whole thing. Okay, let's go ahead and split this. Okay, so now I have this part, and then this is the new scribe lines. I'm going to turn on dynamic for these. And then now I don't even need this mesh anymore. I'm going to delete this. Okay, turn off solo, and then now you can see what I have here. Okay, and then now all I got to do is turn this into a subtractive. Right? I want this to be a subtractive, and I have another tail part. And then there you go. I've got this scribe lining now going in the spots that I want. And for this particular lines, I don't want them to be white, I want them to take on the green that's on the ship, which I already have that color selected, right? And then there you go. It's that simple for this particular workflow. Okay? So it can come in very handy. Now, Jared already brought it up, right? Our knife brush is a new amazing piece, right? So now if I don't want the scribe line to going through here on the back and I want it to end, you guys can just use this brush, right? I'll get that line and say I want it to end right there, and then there, it ends right there. Right, and in fact, looking at this, I think I want to add another little scribe line in here, right? I want to come maybe through here now, and let's put one at the tail end, because I don't want it to go all the way through here in the back. Okay, I just want something like that. So once again, right, we're going to grab this little guy. We're going to duplicate this. Here, I already have a duplicated one, so let's delete this duplicated one. All right, so there's that. Again, once again, I'm going to apply it. I'm going to divide one more time, delete the lower. Okay, I'm going to re-polygroup this, and I want another line right there. Okay, and then stroke, polygroup it, tap it, right? And it's key, by the way, when you're going to do this, okay, do not, I repeat, do not have symmetry on. Okay? So when you guys are going to do this, do not have symmetry on. Okay? This is definitely one of these Lisa needs braces moments. Okay? So, this, again, let me pull this back on. I had my knife brush. I want to go back to my slice curve. No B radius. And I want to make a cut. Follow the line of this right through there. Right? And then once again, stroke, frame, but turn symmetry off. If you have symmetry on, it's going to make two versions of this. You only need one, so you only need to tap the one, and then that's it. Okay? And then technically, you guys can use visibility, right? In here, hide points, show points. Right? You can even use this to do that, and then delete hidden. And then now this is just another one to go with these right here, right? So I'm just going to merge these down. And when I merge down, it's automatically going to be in a subtractive state for me, which is perfect. That's what I want. Okay? And then once again, I need to fill this with the right color. And I'm going to rename this Tail Scribe. Okay, so there we go. We got this. Now, this one's pretty straightforward. It's relatively easy, right? We're looking at multiple points here like this. Okay? There is, for multiple curve tube brush, what is the option that allows all curves? It's a separate brush. There's no option. That brush is built with the ability to have multiple curves. There is no option that you can turn on or off, John. So you got to remember that brush, though, because you can take advantage of that brush. I take advantage of that brush all the time to do multiple curves sometimes. This is why I also like the things like the topology brush, the curve brushes. They're all built on the same system, so you can kind of reuse them, right? So I'll think if I can find a way right now to show it to you. But, okay, so let's go now to something a little bit more challenging. This was straight on, right? So we got these. They look good. I'm happy with that. Good to go. Done. Those are the only things I want on the tail because there's going to be some stuff right here anyways. And then we're going to get into the wing here too. Now, let's look at, say, something like this and look at that same technique, that same thought process for that same technique, okay? So we are going to duplicate this once again. In fact, here, let's just clone it. Let's just only look at this, okay? And I want to use this same technique to maybe put some scribe lining this way, that way, right? So, of course, you guys can do this, right? Same kind of process. Come here to geometry. I'm going to delete the lower, right? And the only two polygroups I actually am maybe caring about are the red and the green. Okay, so then I'm going to delete hidden, and then I'm going to regroup them. So, of course, you guys can do stuff like this, right? Right, and that's going straight across. But what if you're going to want to try and line up things, right? And do stuff like this, right? You can definitely do it. Okay, but there's going to be times where now, let's go ahead and delete the one side. So we're only looking at the one half of this. So let's use our handy dandy fun B radius. And I'm going to go now with a size of, let's go 25. Okay, and then now I want to do this, right? I'm going to follow this scribe line path right here. So I'm just going to match up this and then just move it down here. Right? And then, of course, what we are going to get is now a cut like this. Right? And then normally we would go things like this, right, to do another cut. Now, here's the thing, though. This mesh is slanted and tilted, right? So this is going to create, see, a cut. If you notice the blue, see how it's cutting like this through here? That's not what I would want. I would want this, right? I want an angle like this. Now you're playing with, yeah, I can snap things for sure, okay? This is a possibility. But now I can't see where this is sitting in relationship to everything else here, right? Here's my dilemma. Yes, I can turn this way and then snap an angle this way, right? But now I can't see where does that sit here, okay? And then for the sake of argument, let me actually also, let me get less, we don't need this many polygons. This is not necessary. Like, that's more than enough. Okay, so let's again, red and green, and regroup this. Okay, so I am showing you an issue that might pop out for you, okay? Because I want these lines to follow certain ways based upon looking at this wing, okay? And number one, there's two sides to this. There's this side and this side. And what if I want to make lines or cuts that both sides need to follow at exactly the same? This is going to be where your problem is. So I'm going to turn line back on so you guys can see the polygons. And then this is a feature I think that's underused. So this is definitely, everyone do it with me. Everyone do it with me. Look up here. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look up here. Okay. I'm going to switch to ZModeler. And by the way, what I'm about to show you can be used with subdivision levels, right? So don't forget, you can actually use ZModeler on subdivision levels now. The only parts of ZModeler that can't be used is if it's creating new topology, i.e. you're slicing, Q-meshing, extruding. But any other option can be used in ZModeler. I don't know if you guys knew that. We made that capable, I think, 3-4 versions ago. I want to say that was maybe in 2020 or 2019. No, I feel like every version we keep putting out could be its own version. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hover over a face, right? When you guys would normally have, this is our default, right? Q-mesh single, I'll zoom in, edge, insert, and then move, point. Like this is the default you guys would have, everybody would have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look straight at this from here, right? So this is actually on an angle. I'm not looking straight at this. This is on an angle going downward, right? Because these wings, right, have a downward slope to them. Okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hover over a face and I'm going to select this, set camera perpendicular. This is a big one. I'm going to hold on this and now I'm just going to tap on the face and bam! Bam! Now I am looking straight on this wing in space. So even though this in space, this wing, if you look at my camera, okay, this has got an angle. I now made it come like this to the camera. So if you look at my webcam right now, right, when you're looking at it, right, it's actually an angle. What I just did is I moved the camera so it looks at the wing like this. So it's flat. Okay? And then now this opens up for me. I know now when I go to do these slicing, okay, when I come across here and I go, I want to put a triangle in here. So I'm going to say I want to do here. And I'm going to move it out just a little bit and then slice. And then I want that slice to go now follow this angle of this, right? This is a lot easier to do because I changed the camera position. And then now I want to come straight across. So I'm just going to come straight across. And I'm going to go right there and there. Now we have it. There you go. Now all I have to do is say, okay, the only parts that really are important to me in this case is this polygroup, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And then there is a triangle, right, that I can use. I can delete hidden. And then now I can say, come back to this. All right, we'll turn the lines back on. And even go, let's go ahead now, QMesh all polygons. Right, pull this up. Right, I don't need symmetry. So it's got a little bit of some thickness in there. Okay, something like that. And then now let's assign it a different color. Right? And then this is how you can start doing stuff. Right? Especially if you're in the world like me where I'm taking this to 3D printing. You can do this. All right? So the other thing with this, because now that I have some clean topology through here, right? I got some better topology through here. We can come through here now and do a multiple edge loop, right? And then I'm going to say, let's go ahead and change the poly grouping. Say something like that. And then I want the same thing down here. And then now come in here, do a Q mesh, right? This time polygroup all, pull out, but actually hold the shift key, right? And then that's going to create, see, nice little, a little taper right in there. Right? And then there you go. Okay? So, bam, I got a little bit of that tapering, which will be nice for the point of rendering, right? So going back to this, there's that triangle piece on mine. That's exactly how I did it. But then obviously that feature is allowing me to do more, okay? Well, John, Z Modeler is not meant for heavy topology. That it was built for low polygon modeling, but it can be used now on topology that's subdivided or not subdivided. Okay. Let me see. Wait, you had a question come through. I have a question, capitals. Please help! Now I sound like the melting witch. It's a what a world! What a world! Okay. Which I use curve function to do my stitches. I need a 90-degree angle at my corner, but it ends up a smooth transition. So do it in 2 was what I would tell you to do. Right? So if you got... So what you're bringing up is... Here, I'll try and quickly... Okay? We're going to go on a quick little tangent here. Quick tangent. Okay? So let's go ahead and do this. I'll make this a poly mesh, right? I'll even divide it up a little bit more. There we go. So you wanting something where you're going to be doing this and then doing this. So let's just say as an example, we grab these. We'll make this a new poly group, right? And then let's go ahead and let's even grab a brush that has stitching on it for insert mesh brushes or anything else for that matter. Let's go to IMM because it's got a stitch in there, right? So now we've got these stitches. We need to go a lot bigger, right? Something like this, okay? So then you would do, say, something like this frame, and then you click, right? And you see that transition's happening right in there, right? So my recommendation would be do this in 2 steps then, okay? And then all you would need to do is delete one of the stitching, okay? So I'll answer your other question coming through. So what I mean by that is forget this curve and then, whoops, just hide this part right in here, right? Right, so you see this through here. This is what you want to use then, right, to your benefit. You want to use this part only, right? And by the way, you can do this and snap to, right? And then now it's just snapping and every single vertex point is getting a stitch. This is very different than frame mesh. So I'm not sure if you guys are aware of that either. That when you're drawing out with curves, if you hold down shift, ZBrush is looking at actually this. So let's see if I turn it off. See the shift key is no longer snapping to the polygroup. How many of you knew that? And then see there's the border. And then see there's every single vertex point is getting a stitch. Just as an example, all right, to give you an idea here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to use ZModeler, and I'm going to say let's crease from shortest path. So I'm going to click this point to this point, right? In fact, here, let's get rid of also the creasing that's already on this model. So I'm going to go here to here, okay? And so now with this, let's go back to this curve, right? Let's go with a size of 30. That looks pretty good. Okay, we'll undo that. I'm now going to go to stroke, crease, right? And then tap. So there's that one. Okay, and then I can uncrease all. And then once again, I can go right to here, ZModeler, and go from this point to this point. Go back to my IMM curve, stroke, bring up to solve that problem. So if you're trying to go in a solid turn like that, that's one way you could go about this. Does that help? Another way, okay, to go about this would be using something else, not even using curve, right? And then Justine, to answer Dynamesh for sculpting, ZModeler is great. I do both. Dynamesh is really important for me in the beginning. I use Dynamesh for what it was built for. Dynamesh was built for the first 20% of sculpting. That's really what it was built for. And now that we have more hard surface modeling stuff, especially with the knife brushes and all the bevel brushes, and especially now that we have... Hold on. I see my internet. Come on, internet. Yep, hold on. My internet took a dive again. Yeah, my internet just went. Come on. Okay, getting something back. Come on. Let's see. I know my internet fluctuated. It's slowly coming back. Oh, now it fluctuated again. I know you guys don't have a good stream right now. I'm just waiting for the... See what's going on. It's coming back. It's coming back slowly. Oh, there we go. Now I'm back. Okay. The internet. I give up. It's always too like 20, 30 minutes into a stream for some reason. It's back now. I can see it's back now. Okay, so you might need to refresh. Okay, everyone's good now. Maybe refresh if you're still having slowdown. Okay. All right. Okay, so another way to go about this. Okay, we're all good, right? Everyone can hear me fine and see me fine because I'm getting strong power again. I'm good to go. So I'll wait. I'll take a drink of water while you guys are coming back to me. Hey, Graham. Thanks for coming. Okay, so another way to do that stitching question would be also, and then this is a benefit too of ZModeler. Switch to ZModeler, and I'm going to do polygroup, okay? And you can do by a poly loop like this, right? And then like something like this if you wanted to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on checker. So when I click here, right, I'm getting every other face is getting a different polygroup. And then same thing this way, right? So now what I have here is this, right? So let's go ahead and let's make all this one polygroup, okay? And let's go ahead and make all this curl this out once. So now I have this bend turn here, right? With these polygroups happening. Okay. It is spectrum, Chris. Good call. So now what I'm going to do is take this IMM curve brush, since it has the stitch. Well, in fact, actually, we have the stitch also in parts. I believe it's in here somewhere. Let's see. Could have swore we had it in here. Huh, we don't. I thought we did. All right, we'll go back to this. And then I'm going to turn this into a nano. Go back to my stitch. Okay? And then now I can tell the nano, right? I want the nano only on certain polygroups. And then there you go. There's your stitches. Right? And then you're turning in a corner. And then the benefit to this is you can always update after the fact whenever you want. Right? And then this is all polygroup driven, right? So you don't have to do every other this way as well, right? You control this as the user, right? So I can say I want something else, like something like this. You know, you want a bigger gap maybe even through here, okay? So you control that. So this could be another way to do that, okay? There you go. So there's a couple options for you. Back to me ship. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the tail, this tail part right here. Let's move on to this. Let's take a look at some of my imagery here. Let's get this one. Let's make this bigger. I'm actually going to flip it so I'm looking at it. I like to work in this way, so I'm going to flip the image just so it's matching. So this would be a good image for me to look at. In fact, I don't need these anymore, so I'm going to delete this. I don't need this. I don't need this, and we'll reorganize. Okay, so I want this one. Oh, I don't need. We'll keep those, I guess. So I want this one for sure. I need to see that one, and I need the back. Let's see, is this one better to look at? Yeah, that one's pretty good. So we'll look at this one. I'll put this over here. Let me make sure it's not being blocked by anything from you guys. And then I'll make this one bigger and put this one up here. And again, I can move these other ones out of the way temporarily. And that way I'm just looking at this image now. Okay, and then I'm looking at this image now. There we go. Okay, and this is another reason why I like Spotlight and why I enjoy using Spotlight for these reference images. I like to just zoom in things, look at things, and zoom in and out. And it's really good. It's very helpful. Okay, so you can see this one's got a lot more going on as far as some scribe lining. And you got to look now at the top, right? And the bottom and see, are they similar? They're not. Okay, they're not the same. So the bottom, it's got more going on than the top does. Okay, so I'm going to establish first some scribe lining here for me. All right, and I'm going to show you another way that you could work at doing these kind of scribe lines. All right, so we got this wing. I'm just gonna solo out so here just so we have this. Let's look at this from here. Okay, and I'm gonna say let's go ahead now and apply my actual subdivision levels right through here. Okay, and I'm going to show you another way to maybe go about doing this for you all. So I'm going to say dynamic subdiv, apply. So now I'm sitting at 284,000 polygons. I'm going to go up one more subdivision level. So now I'm sitting here. We'll solo this out so I'm only looking at this. And then I'm going to turn off the line art again so I'm only seeing my polygrouping. Okay, so there's a cut line through here. I can see, and then it looks like it cuts through here, and then it takes a turn right here, right? And then there's some cut line here, and then cutting all the way through here. So I'm going to show you another technique, and then now you guys got to start figuring out which one's going to be the best to use for what you're trying to do. And this is also a great way to show the last technique I just showed could be maybe the very thick thick, thick, thick scribe lining, and this could be maybe thinner. Okay. Make Believe TV. Spicer, thanks for coming. Oh, Graham, I got to get back on that sound wave. I'm going to get back on that for sure. What feature where you can see the part up close? Are you talking about the magnifying make believe? I'm not sure what feature you're talking about. You're talking about this where you can magnify? If so, that is just Shift M. I'm not sure what feature you're asking about to look at the part up close. Okay, so what I'm going to now switch to, this is one of my favorite brushes, the Chisel brush. Okay, and I'm going to drop to, like, say, a brush size of 4, and then now you have things like this. Okay, so I'm going to go even one more subdivision level, so it just makes even a cleaner line. And I'm going to go a little bit bigger. I'm going to double this. I'm going to go 8. Yeah, there, that looks better. All right, and now why I like this, okay, is I want to now come down here, and with this brush, I'm going to create a morph target. And when I use this, and there's going to be 2 advantages for me with this morph target. The first one's going to be, I can now go, okay, I want a line from here to here. So I can click, and then hold the Shift key, and then let go, and that puts the scribe lining right there, right where I want it. Okay? And then now I want one to follow along this path here, right? So I can click and start drawing, okay? And because I'm using a panel, a morph target, right? It overlaps perfectly. So if I turn off polyframe, this is what I'm making right now, right? I'm making a scribe lining that can follow the way I want things to go, right? So, okay, and then we will pick the green. So why I'm sculpting in the green. Okay, so this is also going to open up one extra thing for me. In our lazy mouse, the radius is pretty big. Maybe you might want to drop this down so you don't have to wait for such a big red line to start drawing, right? But I want a little bit more than 20. I'm going to go half. I'm going to go 50 because I want to be able to follow a line through here. Okay, so I'm going to start now taking advantage of the lazy mouse ability with the radius, and I'm going to take advantage of this snapping. I'm going to put this at 50 as well. Okay, then this is just a number I'm going with right now. There's no, hey, have them both at 50 for this to work. That's not the case here. Okay, it's just me having a preference. That's it. That's all this is. Okay. The new feature where you solo the parts. I think you're talking about stage. I think is what you're talking about, staging it. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. That's the only feature I can think of where you're soloing out the part. It's not soloing out the parts, per se. Okay, so now what this enables me to do is I can go from here to here, hold the Shift key with lazy mouse on. I can go there. Then I can even hold the Shift key and immediately go there and then just continue drawing around the path. Now I'm not in a good spot, so I'm going to re-maneuver this. And then now I'm going to come here and then do this. Now, here's something else that you're going to want to do. Okay, so you can see this is creating a nice cut through here for me. Right? So, you might also, with this brush, if you're going to use this technique, okay, first things first, when I'm drawing this, I now have the ability to move around and then pick up, and then ZBrush will try and continue on. Right? That's what in the lazy mouse, this feature is doing. This lazy snap is going to try and snap to the last point when you picked up your pen. Okay? Now, the problem here is I'm using a pen. There's pressure sensitivity. So if I was going to use this technique, right, me personally, I have a version of this brush that's actually called Chisel Scribe. Because there's one thing that I make sure to turn off on this brush. Actually, I don't want it on. So I'm going to go to the brush palette in here. And I'm going to come down here to my tablet pressure. And you can see by pressure, size is going to change, right? So what I mean by that is if I'm lighter and then stronger, and then lighter, and then stronger, and then lighter and stronger. If I'm doing scribe line, they all need to be consistent. Okay? So I'm going to go to brush, and I'm going to turn this, in essence, turn this off. So you can see everything else is turned off. It's not necessarily turned off. It's just no matter what your pressure is, keep everything consistent. That's important to me because if I'm going to do this, where I'm going to go from here to here, here to here, I got to see more of the wing. Okay, and then this, I can work symmetrically now, right? How do you guys know? And then, how do you guys know if I'm in symmetry mode right now? Who knows? Pop quiz. Okay, I'll go with a bigger brush. Am I in symmetry mode? Does anybody know if I'm in symmetry mode right now? How about now? Okay, so there is something that tells you guys if you're in symmetry mode. Okay, so maybe this will help you out. Right? Kieran's got it. It's the second ring, right? So this is not in symmetry mode. This is, and then this is in symmetry mode, right? So there'll be 2 red rings on the outside. So that's awesome that a lot of you knew that. That's great. Okay, so I'm going to go back to, what did I have this at? 8. I'm going to say 8. And then now I'm going to say, I'm going to show most of the wing. So then I'm going to go first from here to here. Then I want to go from here. Then I'm going to continue drawing to here. Right? And then there is that cut. And then now it's on both. Okay? And then now I can come here and do the other side if I want to. Right? So I can go here to here. And then now I'm just going to go from here. Right? I'm going to go from here. And then see this snapping that's happening? Because I finished off down here, right? The snapping's trying to keep snapping to there, right? So it could be better for me to come into here. And then now I'm going to go from here to here. And then we're going to continue drawing around and like this, right? So this is just another way for you guys to put some kind of scribing. Now, if we really look at this, I've already got some polygrouping set up here, right? So why not take the advantage of with the curve once again, right? So I can just say, okay, I want this part. Okay, once again, I'm going to use that slice. I'm not going to have B radius on. And I want to cut through here. Okay, so I want this polygroup here to change into there, right? Nice. Hold on, let me see. Oh, let me make sure also the matter the sampling is off. Oh, I've got subdivision levels still on this. Might help if I got rid of the subdivision levels, people. Why didn't you tell me? I don't need the subdivision levels to do this. So I'm going to go from there. That's good. And then here, right? Look, see how the wing's kind of on an angle? Right? We need to get a camera view like this. Right? So there already is a great way for you guys also to remember that last one I just showed you, right, with ZModeler. And then I'm going to say I want to cut across there. Okay? But I'm going to make sure I hide this portion because I don't want any of that to change, right, through there. Oops. So I'm going to cut through here, right, and then now I have this, and then this can now start to become my scribe line. So I need also this portion as well. Okay. And when I did that, let's go backwards. I need to show that polygroup. There we go. So I need this one and this one. Okay, so I need a cut through here. Right, so I'm going to hide the rest of this that I don't need. Make a nice little cut through here maybe. Something like that. Okay, and then now I have this, this, There's those, right? I'll repolygroup that. Oops. And then now I say I want to cut through here, right? That's creating that polygroups. So now I have these two and this one, right? So these are my polygroups right now. So I'm going to actually hide these. And let's just auto polygroup this. So, because the only polygroups I want is this, this, and this. Right? So then this is the part that's important to me for those scribe lines. Right? And then this is going back to the original idea that we had with the extruder. And I want a size of 4. Okay? And then this is something maybe I would turn on this draw size to remember it for this particular brush. Right? So anytime I come back to this brush, this is remembered. That's what this does. So if I switch to the clay brush, right, this is now remembering every brush's own size. So you can see the clay brush has a size of 11, and then standard's got a 64, and then the extruding brush has got a size of 4. So this is where I would take advantage of this feature, so that when I come back, right, that draw size is always going to be the same, and I don't have to remember it. And you might want to save this out with this all on. Okay? Okay. Hold on, I'm just catching up. Was there a question that I missed? I don't remesh, Kieran, if I don't need to. What? Why? It all depends on where your pipeline is and where you're trying to go, right? So let's go ahead and let's finish this up. I want border, stroke that around the border edge, right? And I want that, right? And again, this is working symmetrically right now. So tapping on that gives me that. Okay, that's where I want that one. So that one looks good. So let's go ahead and split that. Okay, so that's that point. Okay, I don't need this now. Okay, let's look. There's a line going straight through as well here. Okay, so I'm going to use this to do that. So I'm going to look at this and say, okay, I'm going to repolygroup this. And I'm going to use this to say I'm going to want right about here. Right? I want that. Okay? So then I'm going to stroke that, and this time I'm going to use polygrouping, and then there's that one, and then I'm going to split on mask points again. So I just keep making these scribe line, and I can merge down at any points, and so now there's those two are together. Okay, let's see. I also need, okay, I need one. We've got this one and this one. We've got this. We need one to come across here now, right? And we've got this one. So I'm going to now repolygroup this. Okay, and then I need one to come across here. In fact, actually, yeah, we'll repolygroup this. And I'm going to say I need one to come straight across like this right there. Right? But if we're smart about this, don't repolygroup. That way, when I come straight across like this, right, you're getting now this part and this part. Right? So I can look at now just these two, this polygroup and this polygroup. Okay? And then now I can say, okay, that ends though right here. And then this is now the new stroke, frame it, tap it, right? Oh, let's turn symmetry off. So we got this stroke, okay? And then now, again, split it by mask points, on mask points. It's really up to you. And then now I'm going to merge this down. And then here are my major cuts, right? These are the big ones, okay? And then see, I didn't get it on the other side. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mirror this over, cross the X, and then do our handy dandy mirror and weld. Right, and then I'm going to turn on dynamic subdiv so it's smooth. It needs the green color, I already know that. Okay, so I'm going to go color, fill object. turn the solo off, right? And see, this could even be a raised surface for us, but I want it to be a subtractive surface, right? And then there's those main cuts through the wing now, right? Really starting to make something nice happen here, right? Rodolfo, you made it again. Yeah, chisel brushes get shipped with ZBrush. The chisel brush is already shipped with ZBrush. This is not anything new, because I'm going to switch back to this. This is just shipping with ZBrush. Okay. You want the one that I made. So what do you mean? You want this one with the size? You just want this set like this? Charlie! How's it going? I can save this out if you really want this. Sure. With all the setting. You want it because I turned all my settings to what they want, right? I've got all my lazy mouse set to what I want. I turned off the thing. Sure, I can share this with you. Let me go ahead and save this. Hold on. Since you asked, by all means. And then we'll call this Chisel Scribe. All right, so I need to get to my keyboard here. So Chisel Scribe. I wish there was an easy way through streaming one of these platforms to just give you guys this files. Okay, you're commuting. Oh, man, you're on the move. Okay. So I'll put this up. Let's see. You know what? I'm trying to see where from this. I'm on a computer that doesn't have certain things for me. Hold on, let me see if I have quick way. No, I don't have it on this computer. So I'm gonna do something really quick here. Okay, I'll put it on my Discord real fast, because then you can get it right now. Okay, so hold on, let me send this to myself real quick, and then that way you can have it right now. And then we'll get done with it, and then that way, because I'm going to start using it again right now. Right, so let me send this to myself, and boom, and I saved it to my desktop. Chisel Scribe. Okay, 1 second. Like I said, I'm sending it to myself, and it's not a smaller brush. It's 6 megabytes because of all the other pieces that are in here. This is one of my favorite brushes. I love this brush. Okay, and then let me grab it from here on the other system. And I'm just going to my other system right now where I have my Discord, that I can just give it to you guys there. Download it. Okay. And let me go into where are you? Discord. And I'm going to put it in ZBrush Works. Here is the Chisel Scribe brush I made during the stream. Okay, and upload my file. Downloads, Chisel Scribe. Upload. Okay, and then here, if you don't have this, here is also here. I'll put, there's a link to the Discord channel, so you can get it there. Okay, there you go. So now you can have this brush that I'm messing with real quick. All right, so let me start now looking at some of this pattern that's also going on, okay, in this wing. Okay, let's start with the top part. It's not a very good image, but it definitely looks like there's a repeating pattern here, right? Through here, okay? And it looks like it's just repeating all the way up to this point to here, okay? So I'm going to say, well, what can help me with a repeating pattern, right? So I obviously can use my insert mesh brushes to start cutting into this, okay? But I wouldn't be able to space them correctly, right? And this is also a complication. This is a wing that's like on an angle as well, right? There's a little bit of an angle happening here. So I like to do this to kind of, this is just something for me that I've done that I found very useful for myself. Okay, so I need a repeating pattern that's a scribe line into the surface, and it's got an angle and some tapering, let's say, even too. There could be tapering here as well. Okay, so there are a couple of things that I can do. This one doesn't look like I have any tapering to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a cube here. So I'm going to rename this. Okay, just so I have it. All right. And because I'm having a pattern, the best thing for me that's a pattern is a remesh. Right? Because I can make a great pattern here. So I'm going to insert, right? I'm going to insert something here. Okay, I'm going to say, let's insert a cube. Okay, so now I've got a cube inserted. All right, and I'm going to say this cube, which is over here now, right? This just needs to be 4 polygons. So I'm going to switch to this cube. Here, I'll turn the lines back on. Right, because I just want something simple, 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 simple like this. And I'm going to shrink this way down to even, and this is going to be another way that you guys could even do some scribes, right? Let's just say something like this. And I'm going to move this down to here, okay? So it's going to start here, right? Those scribes, in essence, those scribe lines are going to start right here, right? And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell ZBrush, let's turn on a remesh, okay? I'm going to turn on these 3 options over here, which is transpose, lock position, and lock size, just because I know I use those all the time. The Millennium Falcon could be a fun one, yes. I was actually thinking about maybe doing an X-Wing next. In fact, I was maybe thinking about for next week's stream to do, obviously, this is the Dropship that has, you know, the military vehicle in it. Maybe do the vehicle next week. All right, so what I'm going to tell ZBrush to do is how many of these do I want? I'm just going to, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10. I'd say 10. So I'm going to go, I want 10 total. Okay, and now I'm just going to turn to transpose, right? And then this is why I have this option over here turned on. Because by turning that option on now, I am going to be able to use the transpose line as my GUI, okay? And now I'm in move mode up here in the top, right? In the top up here, I'm in move mode, all right? And then now I'm just going to move this to the gaps that I want. So if I want to go all the way to here, there you go. There's the repeating gaps. So I can, in essence, use this just like we use everything else. Like when we're doing organic, right? We use the head itself to say, hey, the character's 7 3/4 head tall, a heroic 8. I'm using a remesh now to help me have the positioning where I want things. Okay? So now you guys can go about this in multiple different ways. Okay? So in this particular one, since the top and the bottom are not identical, right? So you can see in here, I know it's tough to tell in this image. They could be identical, the top and the bottom. I'm going to go with not being the same on the top and the bottom, right? I'm going to say the bottom half has this crazy little design here, and the top half doesn't. The top half just has the same thing happening throughout here, okay? That's what I'm going with. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to this, and now it's your guys' decision. Do you want to go with the sculpting approach, right? So I can throw on now transparency, right? And now I can select this, and I can see exactly where I need with the chisel brush to go. Okay, I need the chisel to go from here to there, right? And let's make sure I'm on the one that has subdivision levels. Okay, so I'm going to now, looks like I'm on the one that doesn't have subdivision levels. Yeah. Let's go ahead and give it back our subdivision levels, right? So that I can work on this, right? And then now again, I can just go from here to here and sculpt, right? And then here to here and sculpt, right? And if I don't want these being this thick, then this is again where I go back down to like the 4 and go from here to there, there, to there. And then this is, I'm doing this because maybe these scribe lines are not as big as the other ones, right? So these are a different size because they're a different portion of the wing. So the paneling isn't as big, right? Okay, and this is in the way right now. The wings up, these sidings, these other wings are in the way. These bad boys are in the way right now for me. And then I want to go from there to there and then there. Right? So looking at this, so you're putting these scribe lines throughout your mesh. I forgot to do this one. Right? And then now you're getting those. Okay, but I use the array mesh to help me say where things are going. Okay? Yeah, you can repeat. I can repeat these if I wanted to, right? Now, to your question that they're asking, someone else is asking right now. Okay? And I didn't turn on symmetry when I did this, so let's undo all this. And let's turn on symmetry. So that when I'm doing these, I'm gonna go a little bit, I'm gonna go with size 6, I think, for these. Let's give them a little bit more. Oh, let me again turn on my dynamic and apply it. There, we're at 4 million now. Go from there to there again. So one there, one there, one there, one there, one, oops, one there, move, one there, one there, and then I'm going to put another one right there, right? Okay, so then this is what I have. I've got it symmetrical now, right? And we can turn off transparency. And then now for the sake of arguments, let's turn this off. And then now this is where I'm heading, right? This is what I'm starting to get. I've never personally worked in the game industry, but I've helped a lot of gaming companies with their pipelines. A lot. Okay, so to your array mesh instancing question, if you just wanted to use even array mesh to do this, it would be possible. 100%. Right? So instead of me even sculpting this, and think about this, guys, you could also use the slice brush to do all this as well, right? The other technique. Okay, but to that question, you could use the scribe lines that, I mean, you can use that array mesh, which is, no, let me turn this back on. Where are you? There they are. Okay, let me just rename these array so I have them. Now, if you wanted to just use these, this is the beauty of array mesh now, right? So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to say, okay, these need to be more like this. Then the first one needs to sit right about there in space. And here, I'm going to move this off. And we'll use these as like even a secondary cut, okay? So now you have this happening, all right? We'll look from the back. Okay, they're just going straight across as an example, right? So right now, my arrays, okay, if you look at them, there's an offset here, right? So I'm offsetting the X. So what I want to do now is offset in the Y, okay? So I'm going to go back to move mode with my transpose line and then start bringing offset along the Y. We're going to go right about there, right? And then now they're all offset, right? So then I can switch back to the gizmo and I can even move these as a unit and say I want them to go like deep into the surface like that, right? And then, yeah, then we can come here and make this now a subtractive and see now they're cutting into the surface as well. Right, but I kind of wanted to show using array mesh as like a guide because I use that trick sometimes for me. It just comes in handy. Hold on, I'm leading a question. Maybe what I mean, is it possible to have arbitrary rotation on transpose line and then repeat an array instancing? It looks like transpose line is always your world alignment. No, it's about the pivot point. You have a pivot point. That's your alignment. Okay. So here, let me turn these off. Okay, so this is where we're at now. And then I'm going to make the white triangle here in a second. Okay, and then make all the other paint white as well. All right, so this is where I'm at. And to your question, something you should also be aware of. So let's grab a cube, make this a poly mesh. I'm going to go back to this cube and let's add point this way and a point that way. Let's go ahead and stretch this out, something like this. I'm going to dynamically set this as grid 1. So something a little bit more like that. Okay, so to your question, okay, about what you're asking about array mesh. All the array mesh is driven based upon, yes, X, Y, Z axis, right? But the fact that I can move all three of those axes allows me to have more items and more things, okay? So as an example, all right, let's say I want this to array, okay? So I'm going to turn on array, okay? I like to use the transpose line, so I'm going to use the transpose line with my array. You don't have to do this. This is a personal preference. I enjoy using the transpose line as a way for me to GUI the array mesh, okay? So now I'm going to say I want a repeat. So you see I can come right here and say a repeat of 12, right? I need to come over here. And then I can say I want 12 of these to kind of stack on each other like this, right? So this is why I like to use the transpose line. I can do a lot of my controls right here. I don't have to come over to the UI, come to this slider, and say I want to repeat 12. I don't have to come to this offset and just sit here and make a number. I'm just visually looking at what I want. I have no idea what the number is, nor do I care what the number is. Okay, if you want to, of course, you can come over here and say negative 12.4, and you can put an exact number in if you wanted to. Okay, so we have this ability. Now, to your question is, you can see the yellow circle right here. That's your pivot point. Okay, so right now that pivot point is sitting at the center of the world. If I start to move this pivot point, okay, now the pivot point's over here. All I've done, okay, is just done an offset vertically. So even right now, it doesn't matter where my pivot point is. But if I switch to rotate, right, you can see now it's rotating and it's trying to rotate around the pivot point. But then there's also an offset happening at the same time. So it can't rotate around this perfectly because each brick is being offset first. So it's rotating around this pivot, but then there's an offset to the bricks. Okay, so as an example, right, here's something that you can do that might be answering the question that you were trying to ask as well. I'm going to make another array. So now there's two stages. So, and again, I have now stage 1 and stage 2, and you see that there's two different pivot points now. So stage 1's got one pivot point, stage 2's got a completely different pivot point. Because all stage 2 is doing is replicating everything from the previous stages, and in this case it's just one stage. So it's just replicating these, and then I can repeat those as many times as I want to. Okay, but what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to tell this second stage, okay, not to be an exact copy of all the previous stages before. So think about this as almost like parent-child relationship, right? Stage 2 is looking at any stages before it, i.e. is just stage 1. So if I had 5 stages here, stage 5 would be made up of stages 4, 3, 2, and 1, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on chain. And you can see where my pivot point just went. It went to the top, and the brick got added. So instead of having the whatever I have in stage 1 has what? These 12. As you can see, this is not rendering up here. So this has got the 12, and then stage 2 is actually only this brick right now up here. That's it. Okay, so now watch this. I'm going to now tell ZBrush, okay, to your question, I want to do some rotation. So what I'm going to do is I am actually going to move my pivot point off here, right? And you can see my pivot point's moved, and I'm going to say, I'm just going to move it 0.222 along the X. Now I'm going to rotate, right? And what I'm going to do is rotate this direction. And then now I want a repeat of these. So rotate, and then I'm going to say I needed to rotate negative 180 exactly. And now I just say how many of these do I want to repeat? And then now I have this, okay? And then I'm going to say, let's make a pen new. And you can see that gave me the brick that needs to sit right there, right? And then now I can go, all right, let's go with 11 of these. And then now the bricks need to come down, right? So you see 11 wasn't right. So I need, how many more bricks do I need, right? So it's 12, because I remember stage 1 was repeating 12, right? And my offset was a negative 12.4, right? So stage 3, I'd probably want to go 12.4, right? And then I would say, okay, I need a 13 one, or I need a 12 one, and then I'm going to go 13.4 and start playing with this, right? So this is an example of me getting to this point where I want to have these, and these can be off to wherever you want. And I can even now, I can come this direction, I can go this direction, right? And not only that, I can make them smooth together. So the transitioning is happening smooth. And if I go back to stage 1, I can even align these bricks all the same direction. Right? So see now they're all the same direction? Because now I'm aligning along the path along the Z. I can go along the X or the Y. Right? So I don't know if this is what you're looking for, but this, using the chain option, adds to just an existing array that's already there. Right? So if I'm looking at, so you take this in context. If we're going to do, say, something like a wing again here, and you needed to go here, and then you needed to go this direction, right? And then maybe you needed to go this direction as an example. This is what I would do. So let's delete this. Let's delete this. So then now I have this, okay? This is going one direction. I'm going to append a new. Okay, we're going to turn that into a chain. Okay, but this chain now needs to go a different direction. This chain needs to come across this way. And then I need repeating this way. Okay? And then maybe let's make them be tighter. Something like this. Okay, and then now I'm going to append a new. Okay, and then let's repeat some of those. Okay, and I want to come here and on an angle. And now just repeat. Right? And if I want to now transition these in slowly, I can even transition these in slowly, just put a little bit of smoothing, and see they start to turn a corner. And then you can do stuff like that with array mesh too. Right? And then let's not forget, I can now change all this. Right? So you see how it's all moving in space? This is why I want to turn on lock size, so it doesn't move in space. So here you go, scribe lines that are turning a corner. Right? Think about that. I'm now making this come here, turn a corner, and then turn a corner and go this direction. Right, now you take it in a context to now applying that to my dropship. Now we're talking. Okay? Aligning the whole group in the same orientation can already be done, if I'm understanding what you're trying to do. It would be cool to have it work with Stager, but it's not possible. Well, I wouldn't need to use a ray mesh if I'm using a curve, because I can just repeat this exact same thing along a curve. Oh, Jared, this is a big one for you? I'm glad I showed you something. I'm not, it's fine. I am an alien. I'm from Canada, so it counts as being an alien. Okay? So, let's go back to my ship here, okay? So now again, okay, I'm happy with the top of this, how this looks right now. I'm good to go with this, but now I want to put the white piece, and again, because I am personally 3D printing mine, okay? So I want to have some volume here for the print to work, okay? So once again, I want to come across this, right? And I want to use this at my disposal. Now, I'm going to duplicate this, right? The thing I got to remember now is one of these has got all this scribe, and one of them I want to get rid of the scribe lining. This is where a morph target would have came in handy. Okay, so what I mean by that, let's undo these. Let's undo all the scribe. Yeah, this is good. We'll keep this. This is good enough, right? So if I have this, right, this is where I need it, right? Something like this. Let's go. Where am I sitting at? 18,000 polygons. Okay. So I divide up. Okay. And let's see. Dynamic. We don't need this many. Let's look at just this piece right now. Right, we're going to show the whole thing. Okay, there we go. That's good. And let's go back again. I'm just getting back to where I was. Okay, something like this. There, that's good. All right. So, well, let's go all the way back to the clean topology. This is, okay, this is me, my ADD kicking in. All right, there we go. That's good enough. So dynamic and apply. Okay, now the beauty of this also, this sculpting workflow, is if you guys store a morph target, right? That morph target is giving me the ability to do this kind of thing, where I can actually go over top and getting perfectly clean results here, right? What it also does for me is if I accidentally do, say, something like this, I can switch to my morph brush, right? And erase what I don't want. Right? So this is a benefit to the morph brush with the sculpting instead of scribe lining with insert mesh brushes. Okay? So for this, I'm going to say I want, let's go back to the polygrouping part. There we go. I only need this. This is all I need. Okay, is this. I only need this part. And let's, for the sake of, we only need, let's delete hidden. Let's delete the other side. Let's go ahead. I only need the top half. Although looking at, no, I'm going to keep both. I'm going to keep both because I want the bottom and the top to have the same type of triangle, I guess. Okay? So now that I have this, right? This is, once again, I'm going to do this, right? But I need to look at this in a different way. Okay? So I'm going to, once again, let's turn these off because this is in the way right now. Let's turn these off. We don't need this. Okay, don't need this. This is good. Z modeler. Looking at this. Set to camera. Boom. So now I know I'm looking straight on this wing, even though this wing is tapering and it's on an angle. Okay? Now I'm going to turn on back again my B radius, slice curve. Let's see what 30 looks like. In fact, I think 30 is probably going to be too big. Let's try 20. Okay, so looking at this, I need a triangle, okay, that's going to come across a certain way. So it goes all the way to here, right? And then it comes here, and it actually looks like it's not a triangle. It goes straight like this, and then comes this direction. Right? That's how I'm looking at this. Okay? So I'm going to say we need, and I'm going to flip this just because, well, actually, here, let's flip the image. So I'm looking at the same wing. I'm sure you guys run into this too, because my eye's like, okay, I need to come here. Right? So I'm going to say I need a cut line through here. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit closer. Get a little closer. Don't be shy. There we go. I'm going to go right there. Then I need to come straight across here. Okay, there. Then I need to come... Okay, this has got to follow the wing. So I need to follow this path here. Something like that. Okay, maybe I'll go in a little bit more. Actually, that's probably pretty good. Yeah, I like that. That's good for me. And then now it needs to come across. Right? So I need to come across. Let's say if I want to put this in. Right? But looking at it, it also has more of this kind of approach. I'm going to go right there. Okay? And then now the only thing that's important to me, here we'll solo this out, is this polygroup. That one, 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 that one. Right? This is all I care about, is this part right here. Right? And then delete hidden. And if you guys wanted to, you could try throwing a little fun at this if you wanted to, i.e. you could throw some remeshing at it with the keeping groups. I don't even know how well this would do, right? So it doesn't have enough topology. So I would probably divide this up more. So there's more topology for the remesher to look at. So this is the route I would also go sometimes to do this kind of stuff, right? Okay, so we don't even have to keep groups, we can just remesh it. Just to get a clean version of that shape, right? And then now I'm just going to say brush, Z modeler, QMesh, and then I'm going to say QMesh, all polygons, and then now do this. Change my polygroups, right? And now I'm going to look at this and see, how high is it sitting on the surface? Okay, because again, I'm with the mindset of 3D printing. Right, so again, I'm gonna go, I need to do now polygroup all, hold the shift key, and then just change that there. And this is, I don't like this. It's too thin down here at the bottom. So I'm just gonna give it some more thickness. So it's making sure it gets through those scribe lines. There, right? And then now this is what we have. Okay, and then now this is a separate subtool. So even for the sake of like rendering and make this look cooler, now I can just go, okay, let's go ahead and fill it with the white that it needs, which is this, and fill it with the white. Let's make sure I have it selected. Oh, I have the wrong thing selected. Might help if I select the right thing. And then fill it. And make sure the color is turned on for all of it. Oh, well, I'm filling it with green. Someone help me out here, okay? Come on. I need to fill it with white. There we go. Okay, and then there's that portion now that's starting to happen for me. Okay, and in fact, I'm going to even move it. I'm going to make it flow more like this kind of a thing. I'm going to do more something like, maybe not like that. Maybe, yeah, something like that. I like that better. Okay, and then I can get rid of this part if I want. I can keep that part. I got it happening on both sides now, right? It's happening both sides there. Then I can mirror and weld this over, right? Mirror and weld it over along, turn off symmetry along the X. So now I have all that happening. Okay, and then now this needs white through here, right? This portion of the wing needs some white. So looking at this, I need to have some white through here, right? And then this one I kept had the slicing in it, right? So I kept one with slicing in it. Normally I would have kept the one that has the original polygrouping, but no worries. I'm going to do something that is new also. Polygroup, fill. And I'm going to fill and make this have a new polygroup, that have a new polygroup. And because there's creasing, it's stopping actually where I want it to stop. And that, even though I messed up my topology for this, no biggie, I'm not panicking. And then I need this also to have, oops, that polygroup. And again, this is an example, I'm using subdivision levels right now. Right? Because then I'm going to take this, right? So I just made this portion right here have a new polygroup. Right? So all this, right? And then now all I got to do is color, fill this with the white so that we get something like this, and then turn everything on, and then there you go. Right? And then there's that side. And I did not have symmetry on again. So let me do the same thing on the other side. And again, the filling part appreciates polygroups and creasing. So see, having that crease right there is perfect. And see, I got a crease right there. And then I just got to fill this in with the same polygroup. Okay, that's good. This one. Like, this is a big addition, I think. That also, I don't know how many of you are using this, but this is an important, another addition to just, you know, make my life easier. For sure. And then fill that. Now we're talking Dropship. Yes! Always. Let's turn on that wing again. Let's turn on all the pieces that I'm back there, right? So you can see where we're going with this, right? And now I'm just going to do the bottom part of the wing, and then we'll go in and make this cylindrical crazy thing right here, right? That we got to put that element there as well. So that filling is respecting polygrouping and creasing. Yeah. Thanks, Troy. Yes, Troy, I remember. Absolutely. Hello, Ernesto from Cuba. Wow. Just catching up because I started getting involved in my art. You can totally ZRemesh this if you want to when you're done. If you want. That's up to you if you want to. Again, I'm doing 3D printing, so I don't need to remesh it. I'm going to decimate it, if anything. It's going to get decimated. Okay? But when you guys are remeshing, by the way, one of the big things for me for remeshing, like if I'm going to try and remesh, let's see, like this as an example, we want to remesh this. Okay? Polygrouping is going to be your friend to do this, right? For sure. 100%. Like, you should use polygrouping to remesh this, really. But if you don't, okay, the way I like to remesh now is, okay, I have this is symmetrical, right? So, and it's got all this going on. So I'm going to go and remesh this. So we don't even need the 4 million. Okay, let's go to 1 million, right? And then I'm going to come here to remeshing, and I'm going to say, let's give it 10,000 polygons. Okay, we'll go symmetrical and we'll remesh. So obviously what's going to happen here is the remesher is going to try and do its best to really maintain even those scribe lines that we kind of have here, which really you don't have to worry about per se, right? We're going to lose some of those scribe lines, and we're going to lose some of the quality that we have in this model. So for me personally, this is how I would like to remesh my models now. I'll take the model that I have where it's sculpturally at, okay? I do not duplicate the model at all. I don't duplicate the model. So now I have this, right? Okay, and in fact, it would probably be better to remesh this without the scribe lining in it, in all honesty. Okay, so now it's done a pretty good job. Okay, and what I'm going to do here, I'll turn off the images for now, is I'm going to go backwards, back to the 4 million polygon version. Okay, so I want to go all the way back to the better version of the model. There's the better version of the model. Hold the control key and tap on my undo. Then I'm going to come back to this version of the model. Okay, so now this is only 25,000 polygons. This was 4 million-ish polygons. Okay, actually, you know what? In fact, let's have some fun with this. Let's do this, and I'll show you something else maybe you can do to make this even look even better. Okay, now I'm just going to come here to Subtool, go to Project, and I'm going to use this instead, Project History. Okay, and now it's going to take the color and the paint. And then I'm going to say Divide Up, Project History, Divide Up. So now I'm at 410,000. Divide Up, Project History. So I'm at 1.6. So there, I'm at 1.6. I'm 1/4 the polygons, and it looks the same. You get what I'm saying here? This is a great way for you guys to remesh. Now, I got the color and I got everything here. And now I didn't need to duplicate any subtools or anything else like this. Something else you guys might want to do before you run the remesher. This is just something for you guys to ponder. Why not, where's my pen? Okay, why not take advantage of saying, okay, how about I do a polygroup there, polygroup there, polygroup there, polygroup there. And I'm doing this because where those sculpted scribe lining is at, right? I want to kind of get better cleaning in there. And so now I can remesh this. But this time use the keep groups with no smoothing. And then this time I'll even keep polygroups where those paneling is happening. Right? So you're thinking outside the box here and remesh. And then now I'm going to get topology looping. That's going to fit along those polygroups better too. Right? And so I can even touch up this sculpt after the fact. And now at least I have topology that supports, because my original topology didn't support straight lines, right? So you're getting something like this, right? So you're getting more items like this. Or this is an example where I can switch to ZRemesher guides. And then now I would say stroke, functions, polygroup, and now there's a guides. And so instead of just don't even use polygrouping, just now remesh this with these guides in mind. I wouldn't even need, this is even overkill. Honestly, I don't need this many. What do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't even need 8. Honestly, I probably only need 2. I probably need only 1 here and 1 here. And then that's going to be good enough. right? So we'll let this finish and see what we get from this result. Right? It's just thinking a little bit outside the box, taking advantage of features that we have, and layering them like a cake. Num, 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 num. Right? Okay? This is a little hand-holding to ZRemesher, I guess you can call it that, right? This is me, the user, right, trying to guide the topology a certain way. Right? Now, something else that you guys could try doing, so let's get rid of this, is these wings have all the same plane, right? And this is why I'm saying I wouldn't remesh this with the scribe lines. They're causing more problem than good, right? So let's try this. Oops. Let's see if this can work for me. Okay. Look, I can start using, and right now I'm painting also. So let's turn the paint off. Right, I'm using, look, I'm getting rid of, so if we turn the painting off, yeah, let's turn the paint off. Look, I'm getting rid of the scribe lines. With what brush? Right? So guys, this brush isn't just about creating the panels. I can use this brush to clean up some stuff too. So I'm using the new flat, bevel flat, to actually get rid of these scribe lines because I don't want them. They're causing more hurt than good. Right? So think about this too, right? Think about doing stuff like this. Right? It's just a quick way, right? Because you already can see the remeshing was not giving me really clean results. So then let me get, but then this is another reason why you would save a morph target, right? Because you could have just gotten rid of the scribe lines with the morph target, but I didn't do that. So I need to hand fix this. Right? And I don't need it perfect. The remesh, as long as I get most of this out, we're going to be in good shape. So I'm kind of using this as like a filler in a way. Right? Guys, get the idea where I'm going here with this? Okay, I wouldn't use preserve edge on this. Preserve edge is really more about the preserving edge you're talking the ZRemesher was more for like CAD based files. You got to have a defined edge, like perfect sharp edge, to really take advantage of that. Okay, so let's get back to this. Okay, so now I have this, right? So now I've got that, and now let's go and get the bottom of the wing if I wanted to. You know, because of the time, you guys don't need to see me do the same thing again. So, okay, so there's that. Let's now go make the things on the side here, right? So let's get our images back up. So this is some kind of cylindrical, crazy vented thing, right? So looking from this side, it's a cylinder that's got roundness and roundness there. Let's maybe look at from the bottom now. Then it's cut, and then it's got like a venting pattern going on. So this is a very interesting shape, nonetheless. Okay, so looking at this, I'm going to go with making this in a different way. Okay, so let's grab a cylinder, right? So I'm going to, let me save this really quick. I haven't saved him since we've been in the stream, just so I have a version of the streamed version here. Okay, and let's go add that last now component up here for here. So I'm going to grab a cylinder, works for me. I'm going to line it along the Z, look at the front. Okay, that's good. I don't need this many spans, and I don't need as many spans this direction. Okay, we're going to go that. I want to make sure that I have an edge loop through the middle and an edge loop through there. That'll work for me. Okay, and then I'm going to go a little bit smaller. Okay, make poly mesh. All right, then I'm going to say I need to go along a certain direction. So I'm going to go ahead and extender this. And let's extend this way. So now I have that. Okay. This is definitely going to need another edge loop. Definitely does here, about there, I would say. All right, now out here, let's put another insert here. Okay, I'm just going to re-polygroup everything. And let's make this have a new polygroup. And let's go ahead and QMesh, polygroup all, and then just pull it out. Something like that. I'm going to crease this here. Okay, and I'm going to crease this here. So let's see what we got. Okay, see what I'm starting to make here? Okay, and let's go ahead and crease that. So this is what we got right now. So let's go ahead and start living in our world of having a smoother version of this. And let's go ahead and drop the creasing level so we get a little something more like this. Okay, and now I would definitely say this needs to come out a lot more. So I'm going to pull this way out like this. Right? And then now I'm going to come through here. And I'm going to say insert multiple edge loops. I'm going to make interactive elevation. And I'm going to turn on keep groups. Okay? And then now I'm just going to come in here and just inflate this a little bit. Give it a little bit more inflation like this. And I don't want them to be creased. So I'm getting something like this. And in fact, I'm going to uncrease this one too. So now we get that. That's what I'm looking for. Right? And we'll add another edge loop, a single edge loop in here. Something like that. Right? And then this, see I put a little divot in there. No worries. No worries. I'm going to shrink this, re-polygroup this, and then I'm going to switch to transpose, polygroup all, boom, and then I'm going to use the old school trick. And there's more than one way to do this. And then that way I get that front end that looks nice and clean like this, right? And then this has, it just goes straight back, right? It's just going straight back. So then I want, this is why I added another edge loop right here. So this edge loop, let's slide this down a lot more. Live in that world. Let's go ahead and crease the whole thing. And now I just need these polygons right here. These ones right there, right? And I want to QMesh those out. We'll change the polygrouping, and then now we've got something like this. And I want this crease, let's say, and I want that creased. Right? Something similar to that, I would say. It looks something like that, right? So now that I have this, let's keep refining this shape a little bit. It looks like it definitely has a little bit more cooler factor. So let's insert multiple edge loops. This time no interaction. Let's give some more topology through here. Just so I have more in here. And let's give some more through here. Just so I have some more through there. So I get a little bit something more like that. Okay? And I'm going to add another edge loop here. And I have Z intensity on. So I'll make another one here. Another one there. Okay. That looks good to me. Right? And now I've got these polygroups. I'm going to take advantage of these polygroups now. Okay? And I don't really need, just, again, this is probably my, whatever you want to call it, ADD or whatever, kicking in. I don't need all those creased. But I want those creased. I'm going to now apply this. So now I'm sitting at 97,000. I'm going to divide up a little bit more. And then now let's look at this. Okay, I'm going to now switch to our handy bevel flat. Okay. And then I'm going to look at just only these two polygroups. This is all I care about is those. Right? I don't really care about any other polygroups. And let's go with a big brush size. And let's symmetrically go. Well, I gotta move my microphone. There we go. Let's go symmetrically along the X. Yes. Okay. Is my sound okay? I moved my mic up higher. As you can see, now it's in the camera frame. So here. Is that still okay? I just moved my audio. The bevel brushes are not going to work on a curved surface. Okay? So I'm going to go probably from there to there. Right? Oh, I still have to swap it. So I'm going to go from there to there. Let's do something like this. Right? I'm going to remesh this. Then I'm going to clip this a little bit. Get something like that. And then keeping the masking, I'm going to switch now to the arc. And let's arc the bottom half. Let's change the trajectory of this. So I'm going to make be a little more shallow. Yeah, I just want a little bit of change there. Yeah, there we go. Just something minor. And then let's get rid of it here as well. Soften that edge out right there as well. And then there you go. Right, so now this is this piece. And then now, right, looking at this, let's look at this, let's flip this. Right, it's being cut. Right, there's a cut happening right through here. So why not just use, you don't have to, but we can use our knife. And there might be a good reason to use the knife, okay? So I can say, I'm going to go right about, looks like we go right about there. It's a little too high for me. Better, I'm still going to go a little bit lower. I'm going to go right about there, I think, for me. Whoops. Okay, yeah, I like that one. That one looks better. Okay. And then it also needs to be flattened here, right? It's not round like that, so it needs to have a little bit of flatness through here. Right? Something like that. And now I'd say now it needs a little bit more up higher. Yeah, that's better. Okay, and this is using the clip brushes, right? So I'm going to go back now and let's delete the lower. Let's make it all one polygroup and let's use the knife instead. So I want a flat surface on the bottom. Perfect. And then I want it to do something like that. Okay, not so high though. There we go, that's better. Okay, and now what I want to do is this polygroup right here. I'm going to use it to my benefit. Let's switch to old school transpose line, center it by clicking on this white dot right here. And I'm going to switch to scale. And I'm going to inset inward a little bit. Something like that. And then now I'm going to use some polygrouping. So we'll make that a new polygroup. And then we'll make this a new polygroup. Okay. And then now this needs to get pushed in a little bit, right? So we can even go back to our transpose line, flip that, and then just push it in. Right, so there you go. Got that little indentation that we want to have happening there. Something like that. Okay, and then again, the polygrouping is going to become important for me. So I'm going to re-polygroup this one to be different and this one to be different. That way, when I'm working with this, I can even use things like coming over here, right, into deformation, and I can polish by groups, right? And you can polish based upon a polygroup if you want to, right? So that way I'm maintaining those. But I'm going to do one other thing. I don't like this, how this is looking. So I'm going to insert an edge loop here and here, and now just delete. So I get a little bit of a beveling look there. There. Happy little trees. Okay, and now I need the vent part. Okay, so instead of doing it where I'm trying to do it with the same topology, why do that? Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and make it easier on me. I'm going to append a cube. Let's go ahead and turn this into a 6-sided cube. Something like this. Right? And then I'm going to say it needs to be something more like that. And it looks like there's just 2 of them. Right? So, and they're going to be about this wide. So, go here. Go about there. And then it needs to stay right about there. And I'm going to have this top half move in just a little bit. Something like that. Okay. And then for the sake of just making this look a little bit better. Okay, we'll go right about there. That's good. Okay, I don't need all of this back here. I only need this much. Okay, there's that. Okay, that looks good. One in a good shape there. I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to dynamically subdivide this, but I'm going to throw on hue grid on this because I want this to have a little bit of playful beveling happening. Something more like, yeah, something like that. Just add a little bit more to it. And let's see what that looks like. Smooth. And let's add some flat into it too. Yeah, that looks nice. And I'm going to go ahead and clip curve this and make this side flat again. Okay, so I'm going to apply this. And I'm going to make that flat on either side. Okay, so now that I have this, right? This is this piece right here now. Okay, so I need 2 of these. Right, because you can see 1, 2. All right, so let's go ahead and merge this down. And I'm going to take now just this. And then I'm going to now hold the Alt key and snap to the angle. That's this angle. So that I can duplicate. And then they stay, see, it's on that perfect angle for me. Okay. So now that I have that there, now all I need to do is trim this off. Right? So I can now say, go back to our handy dandy knife, and then now just trim it. And then there you go. All right, so I'm going to say that looks good enough for me. Let's go back to the ship. Okay, we need 2 of them, right? On either, and 2 on each side, obviously. So let's go here. And by the way, since we're talking about 3D printing, right? That's important, right? We're talking about printing stuff. Right now, this stuff is not connected, right? In the sense that it's all not welded together. And in fact, you guys might also want to do something where this, I'm gonna do this actually. I'm gonna split this, and I'm actually gonna make this be a little bit more shallow. I want to have a little bit more of a gap to this. Like I want this look. Like I like that look, right? What is it that you want here, right? So this is now, I can play with this. And maybe even do stuff like this, right? Center it, do different things with this, right? And then now take this one, because it's a separate subtool again, use the deformers on this, and say, okay, this is going to come more in, stuff like this, right? But you can see when I moved it, what was my problem? I moved it like this. I want to move it based upon that plane, right? This plane is what I want to move it about, right? So you see this subtool and this subtool have their own gizmos now, right? So I'm going to solve this. I want to move these plane things now along the plane that's in this subtool. So I'm going to turn on my little handy dandy pizza boxes and then only have those selected. And then see, now I'm moving them along that plane. And I want these to be a little bit more shallow, like that. Right? And then I can come back to this one and mask this off and just, I want to go a little bit more here. And then there, that's the venting that I want. Right? And then this, I'm going to just knife this. Okay? And then now we're talking about 3D printing, right? So now I'm going to merge these down. So these are still separate pieces. So if I go to polygroup and I do auto group, right, you'll see that this gets a polygroup, this gets a polygroup, and this gets a polygroup, right? And it's because they're still separate pieces, right? That's what's happening here. Okay, so printing wise, most printers would handle this okay, but something that you might want to do with this is I want everything to weld together so that they aren't 3 separate pieces here. So I'm going to go W for the gizmo, click the gear, and I say remesh union. And there, I just ran live booleans on this one subtool. So I don't know if you guys know this, but this is how you can run live booleans on one subtool. And then now I have this one subtool to use to do whatever I want with, right? Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Right? And then now this is the one that I'm going to throw on my ship because that's what I like. So let's pick the body. So let's, because it's going to go on the body. So there is the main tail body. Okay, so let's insert that piece there. I'm going to call this tail vents. Okay. And then now, where is that thing living in space? Okay, this thing's massive, right? So it's probably, how big is it? Oh, no, that's actually pretty good scale. We're close. We're definitely close. Okay, so let's then position these. So I need this here. And we'll go along the X. So we need one kind of where the bump is, and it looks like I need to make my numbers smaller too. So we need one to live right about here. And it's definitely too big, so I'm going to come over here and I'm move my gizmo to the back end of this so that when I size down, it's always sitting with still inside the model. So I'm going to go, I'd say it's about this big. Right? Maybe a little bit bigger. And it lives about right where I'm at. And then we need another one back here. Back here. And then that one sits in a different spot. right? More like that. And then now, let's fill it with this green. Click and drag, color, fill object. And let's fix my numbers. Okay, I'm going to move those. I don't like where those are. So I'm going to turn on local sim. And again, once again, I have symmetry on, and I'm going to click the Alt and click the back portion. So that way when I scale this, it's not moving and scaling. Okay? And then now I'm doing this, and I'd say the numbers need to live more like there. We'll go a little bit smaller. There, something like that. And I would say right about there. It's tough to see, but it looks like these are sitting in different spots too. I would need to go look at another image. Let's see, what do I have? Let's see, do I have a side image? Here we go. It's tough to tell, because this is also on an angle. I need a here's one of, I think this is the one of the originals. So okay, now they're sitting the same, and then there needs to be some turning, so they turn, right? So they do need to sit, and I would say the problem is mine are sitting too low. I'd say they need to sit higher. And you see, there's so many different drop ships. If you look at that one, see, they're both really close to each other. But then you look at this one, they're way further apart. So this is the thing, you got to take liberty, I think, when you're doing fan art. As long as people go, oh, that's the drop ship, that's pretty awesome. I think that's, I'm going to go with them being a little bit closer. Get a little closer. Don't be shy. I'm going to go more. I like that look better. Okay, and then I need it on the other side. So I'm just going to mirror and weld it over. And not with local on. And then we got them on the other side. And then there's those vents. And then the last thing that I probably want to do is create the subtractive to make it look like, so it actually does sit inside. Because right now, see, it's just sitting there, right? And I'm going to pull, I'm going to say these two. Let me turn on symmetry. These need to, I'm going to pull these a little bit further out, just a little bit more. Something more around there. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to reuse this. Okay, these are my tail vents. I'm going to duplicate those. All right, and then let's just look at only these. And again, I really only need one. I don't need the other side right now. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and delete symmetry. So I'm only looking at these. And I'm going to say brush C modeler. And let's go ahead and polygroup flat island. Okay, so there is that surface. And then same thing here. Flat island. Okay, I only care about these now. This is all I really am worried about. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and delete hidden. And if you want to, this is again up to you. Okay, I'm going to switch out of this brush. I would remesh this, maybe, just to keep it lower polygon. Okay, this is 100% up to you what you would want to do, right? I don't have to remesh this if I don't want to. Okay, it's not really that necessary to remesh this. Like, it's fine for what it is. Okay, so I'm gonna now, and honestly, if I was gonna remesh this, honestly, I'd probably not delete first. I'd probably do this and then just get rid of like a portion of this. Like, I don't need all this front port. I just need this. And then that way, this will give you guys sometimes a little bit better result, because then now you can use groups and then remesh it. Right, but the only thing I really want at this state is that back paneling part, or the front, right? Or even this front part right here. Like these are good enough. This is good enough for me, right? So I'm going to say delete hidden. So these are sitting somewhere in space, right? So what I'm going to do is Z-modeler these out. So I'm going to say all polygons. And now these are both going to get the same. Let's see, make sure I have everything deleted. I need to turn symmetry off. I had symmetry on. Q-mesh, all polygons. Give this some thickness. Right, then I'm going to do insert an edge loop here. So let's do an edge loop right about there. And in fact, I want them to be identical in both. So I'm going to switch to a single edge loop. I'm even going to change the polygrouping. So we have something like that. I'm going to now crease those. Crease, crease. Let's go ahead and add another insert. I'm going to do in the middle there, in the middle there. Okay. Let's go ahead and polygroup this out now. Let's do polygroup, polyloop. There, there. And now Q-mesh, polygroup all. And I'm going to hold the shift key so it does that. Okay, and I know I'm going to want more than that. I'm going to want something more like that. And if I want to, I could even polygroup this. Right? I could go and change this polygroup as well. Which then I would want the same thing here. You guys will see where I'll be going here in a second. Okay? Don't you worry. I'm going to say there, that's good enough. That looks pretty good. All right. So, well, we got, let's mirror and weld. So I have both sides. Okay. Gizmo, both sides. Local symmetry. So I'm moving them as a unit. Okay. And then now I'm bringing these out. Like this way. Out through here. Right. And then now geometry. And then it's now cutting in to the surface. Right? So you can see I'm cutting these in, right? And it's just how much do I want to cut in? Right? And I clearly don't want them to be cutting into the vents. I only want them to be cutting into the body, like that. That's it. That's all I want them doing. Nothing else, cutting into the body. Right? And then now I'm going to say I want this part to be a little bit more aggressive with the cutting in. And there you go. And then so this has actually got a bevel. So if we turn off the vents, see there's a slight little bevel happening right there. Right? So if I bring this more forward, this part, you'll probably see it a little bit better. So let me hide the mask so that you guys can see where I'm changing this. Right, just to give it a little bit more softness there when I'm doing that. And then that way, whoops, that way when I have the vents on, you can clearly see that there is something here to cut into the surface, right? I like what I had before, so I'm going back to this. There, just to give it a little bit more, some depth in there. And then you guys can continue to play with this. I can say, right, that's why I put this polygroup here. Then I can say Q-mesh polygroup all, and then make it even wider. Something like this wide, craziness. And see the opening will get bigger now. So it's really up to you what you want to do, but I want to put a little opening through there, then you can do something like that. Yeah, I bet. This ship's not even accurate to the movie already. I can already tell you that. I need to fix this whole middle section's not correct. It needs to be adjusted. And even my tail is not correct. But there you go. There's my dropship from Aliens that I'm almost done. I need to finish off the front end, and I do need to finish this off in here in the middle, and then obviously finish that off. I got some other things I didn't do any of the bottom either, like the landing gear. Okay, there you have it. And then now we start having some fun with this, and then we start seeing, well, what's this look like rendered, right? So we render this out now in ZBrush. So let this finish rendering. And I could have used mask insert intersection masker to make these be even better, right? So there you go. Right, there's a finished render. Right, and then at some point, I'm going to go ahead and finish this all off and get also all the logos and everything on this still. And then I would probably also run it through. Eventually, we're going to start running it through the booleans to get it prepped for printing, right? So that I can have the pieces. Thanks, Al. Thanks, Comics Legend. I'm glad you like it. I probably will go for Keyshot Final Render. T Tremendous Druss is no longer with Pixologic. That's why you don't see him in streams anymore. And Comics Legend, no, I have not finished my Soundwave. I need to go back. I haven't touched that in 6 months. Right? So, yeah, I definitely would probably, if I'm going to send this over to Keyshot, I haven't prepped this thinking of Keyshot. So I probably would need to do some other things also with the subtools, what I want to get sent over. Right? And like I said, I'm not done. This wouldn't work right now. The way it needs the other piece in here, and this needs to be cut in half and cut in half like that. So there's still a little bit more work for me to do here. Right? So, but there you guys have it. There you go. So, thank you all for joining me for another stream here, Mr. Dropship. Okay? So, it's been a lot of fun. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's been some fun trying to create a version of this Dropship. I'm probably going to tweak it some more, though. There's some more tweaking that I'd like to do here. So, you'll see maybe some changes here for sure. Okay, so this has been Paul Gaboury with another stream here at Pixologic channel. Please continue coming by and watch all of our streams. This channel is always open, and I'll see you guys next Friday. I'm out.